brought to you by themobilefarmer.com.
It's time for another edition of AgNerds on realagriculture.com. Joined right now by Peter Gredig from AgNation. Welcome today, Pete.
Hey, Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's been a while since we've done AgNerds, so I'm looking forward to get back into it. We've got some big news that happened last week. And honestly, I don't blame anybody if they haven't been following it. Samsung and Apple in a huge patent dispute. As far as Apple accusing Samsung of copying a lot of its technology, specifically the iPhone. And the outcome was very interesting. Apple was awarded $1 billion. And there's a whole bunch of different opinions on this. What was kind of, from your standpoint, I know you were on holidays last week, you maybe were browsing the net. What was kind of your feeling on sort of this outcome?
Well, I mean, I think you prefaced this by saying it's big news, but I kind of wonder if it is. I mean, $1 billion sounds like a lot to you and me, well, to me anyway, but I'm not sure that it is a big deal in the long term. Stock prices for both companies were affected. You know, Apple shares went up and Samsung shares went down. And I read in the paper this morning that it might be a good time to buy Samsung. Like, I guess I wonder what the implications are of this for long-term beyond public relations. I mean, it's a PR win for Apple for sure. And primarily they're saying, you know, everyone's copying us. We have the leading technology and our competitors want to be more like us. That might be the biggest extent of it.
I think it raises, so yesterday, you're right, the $1 billion is not a lot of money for these two companies. So yesterday, Apple's up 12%, Samsung's down 12%. I think Apple gained like $6 billion in market cap just yesterday. So
Right.
$1 billion of cash for companies like this is not a lot. Definitely differing opinions on who actually wins on this. I think some of the biggest questions that come out of it is, what should be patentable? So essentially Samsung has said or criticized this decision by saying, so what you're telling us is Apple has patented the rectangle.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously there's some sarcasm in that, but essentially there is a little bit of truth on these broad-based technology patents.
Yeah, you know what? You can say that everyone's emulating Apple, but in they're emulating user interface, in my view. Anyway, the swipe technology, the ability to multitask, and the portability of some of the products. I question how patentable those things are. But in the bigger picture, it could be that this stimulates competition to develop new and maybe better technology. So you could say the Apple, imitation is the highest form of flattery. They're just basically saying that, yeah, Apple's the leader. When you stimulate others to go in other directions, maybe they'll find something better. Maybe that's good for us as consumers.
Well, there's a couple interesting things that applies to how this developed. This battle really is about Apple versus Google, right? So this all started when Eric Schmidt was on the board of Apple. Apple was developing the iPhone. Eric Schmidt, all of a sudden, all of a sudden Google's coming up with their own phone. And so that's kind of where the hate or sort of the hard feelings really started. And then what's happened is there was also rumors out that Google had warned Samsung about some of the things that they were doing. I'm not sure if that's really true. And I guess in the end, it's really, does it stifle innovation or does it create innovation? It sure in the short term it really doesn't help it. And you look at on the farm, it'd be like somebody saying, we have patented the shank. Right. And so nobody else can ever have a shank on a piece of equipment. It's really, really difficult to sort of fathom it becomes very difficult for other companies to enter the industry.
Yeah,
it's a real barrier to entry.
It kind of some navel gazing that goes on here. You follow this probably closer than I do. I guess if I look at it from the perspective of the rank and file, the producer that's looking to buy, whether they're going to buy an iPhone or an Android device, maybe for the next little bit, you're stimulated to maybe look at the iPhone instead of the Android, and that's legitimate. But I think the big thing is does the lawsuit and does the legal wrangling prohibit sales of product? And I know that that was the case, I think, for some period in Europe, that Samsung's tablet wasn't allowed to be sold there. To me, that's the bigger implication is, are they going to stop a company from selling a product?
And the word is that they are going to try that in the U.S. with the Galaxy 3 and some of the other products, to basically force those products being pulled temporarily or long term from the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that remains to be seen. These things tend to play out over long periods of time, and there's, press releases when something happens. It'll be appealed, I'm sure. There'll be more lawyers. There'll be more legal wrangling. Um, End of the day, I'm not sure what the end result is. There's been a similar situation in the seed sector on patent infringement between two major players, and we don't really talk about it. I'm not sure if producers or consumers are that plugged in to sort of you know, the intense competition, and it gets personal between these companies as they exchange employees. But yeah, I'm not sure that it's as big a story as as AgNerds would make it.
Would it prevent you from buying an Android device?
Well, it's funny you say, because I'm in the situation where I need to update my smartphone. I have a BlackBerry Torch, and your experience with your Samsung Note and other friends that have been really impressed with their Android devices. I mean, that's where I was going. I'll wait a month and see what happens, but I don't think it's going to ultimately change my decision. I think I'm going Android.
September 12th is the release of the iPhone 5, rumor has it.
Yeah.
It'd be very interesting if the iPhone 5 is very similar to the Samsung Galaxy 3.
Yeah, that will be. I thought I read today, actually, that the Galaxy 3 has stepped away from the issues that got Samsung in trouble with Apple. That they've already, in that phone, that device, that issue isn't at play. So, yeah, we'll see.
I was actually talking to somebody this morning where they had told me that, this really does open the door. This is a win for RIM. And and not in the aspect of RIM is going to sell more devices, because Samsung's kind of had a temporary setback. Really, in the fact that RIM owns some very, very important patents, and so what this does is this creates the environment of precedent where some of these broad-based patents they are enforceable, and right. So that. Companies like 3M, he said, companies like IBM have Yahoo, have this treasure chest of on their balance sheet of patents that possibly have some increased value as of this morning, or as of Friday.
Well, maybe what it does is it changes the marketplace from two major players, Samsung and Apple, and it allows other companies that have been maybe more cognizant of the patent infringement aspect of things. Nokia, for example, I've heard mentioned. Maybe RIM. I mean, their OS 10, I think, was going to be more Apple-like. Whether there's infringement issues there or not, I don't know. But, I mean, it could be that it expands the marketplace, makes it more competitive, and lets some other players in there if they can come up the middle quickly and avoid the problems that Samsung has. Well, that's good for I like competition in the marketplace.
Well, what's also interesting is that based on how aggressive Apple appears to be in some of these areas towards the Android platform, I've heard on several different tech podcasts where they're talking about how companies like HTC are evaluating whether they want to solely commit to the Android platform or should they be thinking about Windows.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it seems like Windows is not on the radar. Market share is not there. I think it would take a really slick device and good marketing campaign before they would get enough market share. But RIM used to have market share too, didn't they?
What would if you were heading up RIM, what would be your response if HTC walked in the door and said, "We want to put BlackBerry OS 10 on HTC devices"?
Done and done.
Where do we sign? Okay, Pete, good talking to you. We'll see you again on the next episode of AgNerds.
Okay, Sean, good talking to you.